Welcome to Half 2-4. Today in the show, Cody Gakpo officially demands a transfer, and Liverpool makes strange and mysterious steps for the free return of Darwin Nunez. Jürgen Klopp smashes FIFA live on air because of crazy greed at the World Cup. And also another trouble of the England national team in the United States of America, which turned into a catastrophic tendency for Thomas Tuchel and Cucurella's transfer to Real for $60 million. About all this and much other we speak right now. Around the massive transfer rumor about the return of Darwin Nunez to Liverpool, a real madness exploded, which the Merseysider club itself provoked. Social networks of the Reds literally stand on ears because of one mysterious post. The official account of Liverpool in the network X published a photograph of the forward with a laconic caption, "Darwin Nunez joined the Reds exactly 4 years ago on this day." At first glance, this is a standard anniversary, but fans instantly suspected a hidden hint. The thing is that usually Liverpool does not make similar posts about football players who spent a short period in the team and left it. I think the administration of the Merseysiders does this absolutely intentionally. They banally prepare fans, feel the ground, and, as people say in marketing, warm up the audience before something grandiose. Hardly the club would start to nostalgize for a player who spent a controversial period at Anfield and left the team. And if looking at the financial side of this potential deal, then a simply fantastic mathematics shapes up from which the roof blows off. A year ago, Liverpool sold Nunez to the Saudi Al Hilal for solid £53 million sterling. At the same time, the English completely removed from their balance sheet his weekly salary, which at Anfield constituted £140,000, meaning the Merseysiders did not pay money to the player for a year, earned a crazy sum on his sale, and now attention returned Darwin back absolutely for free as a free agent. Nunez tore the contract with the Saudis because after the arrival of Karim Benzema, he was banally unhooked from the registration for the season. Receiving in the Middle East a crazy £400,000 per week, the Uruguayan chose career, not money. In the result, Liverpool for 1 year fixes a net profit in the amount of more than £60 million sterling. This looks like as if the Reds simply gave their forward into a paid rent with a gigantic surcharge in their favor. A genius business. The new head coach of the Reds, Andoni Iraola, is with both hands for such return. The forward of the Merseysiders, 𝗕𝗥𝗘𝗡𝗚, suffered a severe long-term injury, and the club urgently needs a new tip in attack. Physical power, crazy starting speed, and aggressive pressing of Nunez ideally fit under the signature vertical style of Iraola. During his first stage at Anfield, Darwin scored 40 goals and gave 26 assists in 143 matches. Yes, he was often criticized for low conversion, which constituted a bit more than 11%, but fans always respected the Uruguayan for his self-dedication. However, to act, Liverpool will have to fast, because for the free forward, a line has already built up. According to information of the edition Mundo Deportivo, the situation around Nunez is thoroughly monitored by Catalan Barcelona, which sees in him an ideal replacement for Robert Lewandowski, who gathered to the MLS. And if the transfer of Alvarez fails because of crazy appetites of Atletico, also interest to the player is shown by London, Chelsea, and Newcastle United. A free transfer of a performer of such caliber, this is a too sweet piece of pie to ignore it. And in the end, it is possible to sign for free, and if Nunez does not fit Iraola, then in a year again, it is possible to sell. How do you like such business of the Reds? In the continuation of the theme of the possible return of Darwin Nunez to Liverpool, now it becomes absolutely clear why the Merseysiders so convulsively seek reinforcement in attack. At Anfield, a real rebuilding on the flanks is brewing. First, the club prematurely tore the contract with the legendary Mohamed Salah, and now Liverpool risks to lose another star winger. Cody Gakpo officially announced to the management about his desire to leave Merseyside already this summer. For the 27-year-old player of the Netherlands national team, this decision became a logical step on the background of crisis and serious changes in the club. After unsuccessful results, the owners from the company FSG fired Arne Slot, and the team was headed by Andoni Iraola. Gakpo decided to use this period of large-scale rebuilding to submit a request for transfer. The demand for the universal Dutchman in Europe is simply colossal. The main contender in England is considered London Tottenham Hotspur, which is ready to lay out solid money for the player, and a competition to them tries to impose Newcastle. However, into this story unexpectedly interfered Munich Bayern, having launched a crazy transfer carousel across entire Europe. The Germans planned to buy Anthony Gordon from Newcastle, but he chose Barcelona. So now the German giant switched to Gakpo, dreaming to unite him in attack with another former Liverpool player, Luis Diaz. The irony of fate is in that this decision of Gakpo can painfully hit his native club, PSV Eindhoven. The entire last week, Bayern conducted negotiations about the purchase of the Moroccan winger of PSV, Ismail Saibari. The Munichers have already set on the table a crazy financial package for the total sum of 53 million euros, where 48 million, this is a guaranteed fixed payment, and another 5 million are prescribed in the form of bonuses. In case of signing the papers, Saibari would become the most expensive sale in the history of the Eindhoven club. However, the sudden interest of Bayern to Gakpo puts this record under a big threat. The Germans banally can choose Cody, leaving PSV near a broken trough. The bosses of Liverpool found themselves in a dead end, because to let go Gakpo without a ready replacement, this is a suicide. And if Darwin Nunez does not fly to save Anfield in the nearest time, to the fans of the Reds, it will be extremely unsweet. At the World Cup, an unprecedented scandal flared up because of a new rule of FIFA, which blew up the very essence of football. Jürgen Klopp arranged a real verbal attack on the management of the organization, and his insults will sound still very long after the completion of the tournament. The former coach of Liverpool joined the criticism of water breaks at the World Cup 2026, having stated that football was taken hostage by commercial interests. Let's remind, because of heat in the USA, Canada, and Mexico, players are given a 3-minute break on the 22nd minute of each halftime for the restoration of water balance. Speaking on the German television channel ZDF, Klopp did not restrain himself in epithets. Football was taken hostage by executives sitting in air-conditioned offices. When I saw players simply standing during a heat break while television timeouts dictate the rhythm of the match, I asked myself, whom actually serves this World Cup? Fans, players, or advertisers? If to look at this situation through the prism of business logic, the pretensions of Klopp are fully understandable. FIFA officially explains breaks by care about players, referring to the experience of the Club World Cup last summer in the USA. But at the same time, the same FIFA first banned fans to bring to stadiums their own reusable bottles with water, forcing to buy drinks inside arenas. However, after a wave of crazy anger and accusations of greed, officials hurriedly made a turnaround on 180 degrees and canceled this ban. And such inconsistency only throws wood into the fire of theories about the commercial nature of all these decisions. The brightest metaphor of Klopp, a match of the World Cup must flow like a river. Instead, we build dams in the middle to let through advertising. Football was the main event, and now risks to become background music for an advertising show. The breaks he called a gilded cage for sponsors, masked under a noble sword against heat. To the criticism joined also Mauricio Pochettino, the head coach of the USA national team. I don't like this. I accept this only when conditions are really extreme. But when weather is normal, this is unnecessary. Figures speak for themselves. The head of the commercial department of the television channel, ITV, directly called the tournament a 6-week summer Super Bowl for television channels, and Fox Sports are already criticized with all might for launching full-screen advertising during breaks, with comments of the kind, "This water break is sponsored by the brand Powerade." Honestly speaking, I generally do not understand why Jürgen Klopp so strongly laments and with what he is dissatisfied. Gianni Infantino and his team showed incredible modesty and restraint, because the head of FIFA could calmly oblige football players to run across the field with huge advertising posters in hands or force referees to read out the integration of sponsors during the review of VAR. But they did not do this. For now, did not do. Yes, in 35-degree heat to drink water to players is really necessary, but when each such delay of the game ideally transforms into another million advertising slot, it becomes obvious. At this tournament, it openly smells of big green dollars and not care about health. What the hell is happening with the England national team in the United States of America? It seems this World Cup turns for them into some curse. First, the team of Thomas Tuchel was insolently robbed in the road, having pulled out from a truck equipment and personalized boots for the sum of $18,000. Then the chef of the national team was not let into a train because of his professional knives, and now the three lions decided to attack also nature itself. On Saturday evening, the English national team found itself in the epicenter of a real weather apocalypse in Kansas City. As soon as the team returned to the hotel after an exhausting training under hellish heat, the weather sharply changed. At 8 in the evening, phones of absolutely all players and coaching staff started to rip apart, from automatic emergency notifications of the National Weather Service of the USA. The messages demanded immediately to hide in a sturdy building away from windows because of a squall wind with speed up to 130 kilometers per hour. In half an hour, the situation became critical. In Johnson County, where the hotel of the English is located, a tornado watch regime was announced. And over Jackson County, where their training base is located, a threat of a direct strike of a whirlwind was officially fixed. While football players sat locked in the hotel, behind windows a crazy hurricane and downpour raged, which de-energized thousands of local residents. Players tried to watch on television a match of the World Cup between Scotland and Haiti, but the transmission of the channel Fox was constantly interrupted by alarming live inclusions of meteorologists with maps of movement of the tornado. Fortunately, the whirlwind itself passed a bit to the side from Kansas City, so no one from the team suffered. This incident again raised a wave of panic among the organizers of the WC 2026 regarding wild climatic conditions in North America. Let's remind that last summer during the Club World Cup in the USA, several matches already had to be postponed because of thunderstorms and lightnings. And at this Mondial, storm warnings have already been issued for today's matches. Sweden, Tunisia in Mexican, Monterrey and Ivory Coast, Ecuador and Philadelphia. The English hope that they will be able to break out from this weather hell alive already in a few days in Dallas. A starting match against Croatia waits for them, if, of course, they again are not robbed by someone or washed away by rain. Friends, if you watch to this moment, then subscribe to the channel. It is not difficult for you and pleasant for us. And while you subscribe, we move further. Fans of London Tottenham can officially open champagne. Simply magnificent news appeared for the fans of the Spurs. The leading right defender of the team, Pedro Porro, has just signed a new long-term contract with the club. As Fabrizio Romano reports, the bosses of Tottenham completely closed and legally sealed all details of the deal, both with the 26-year-old Spaniard himself and with his representatives. The new labor agreement of the defender will be valid until June 2031 year, and also contains an option of automatic extension for one more season, meaning until the summer of 2032 year. Of course, Porro received a very solid increase of salary. Romano separately emphasizes that despite numerous rumors in the press about a subject interest from the side of Manchester City and other European top clubs, the Spaniard had no single chance for a transfer. Pedro Porro has an official status of an untouchable player in the tactical plans of De Zerbi, and now his future is iron reinforcedly connected with the Spurs. As we reported earlier, Alvaro Arbeloa will officially head the English Fulham. The Spanish specialist is a step away from becoming the new manager of the London club. Currently, the sides coordinate final details of the labor agreement, and the signing of the contract is only a matter of time. By this appointment, the European football world officially closed an amazing coaching circle. Let's remind how events developed. The legendary Jose Mourinho left Lisbon Benfica for the sake of a triumphant return to Real Madrid. In this same time, Benfica intercepted Marco Silva, who successfully worked at Craven Cottage with Fulham. And here now, the vacated chair of the London Cottagers is occupied by the ex-coach and product of the system of Real Alvaro Arbeloa. A crazy castling is completely finished. This appointment looks extremely interesting and at the same time maximally risky for the management of Fulham. Arbeloa practically does not have serious experience of independent coaching work on the highest level. Before this, he worked exclusively with youth teams of Madrid, and the last half a year backed up the club as a temporary manager. In conditions of tough competition in the Premier League, we can see both a grandiose rise and success of the young Spanish coach and his loud failure. How it will be, only the new season will show. Fabrizio Romano just released another crazy exclusive with the signature. Here we go. Real Madrid buys from London Chelsea left defender Marc Cucurella. The total sum of the transfer package will constitute solid 60 million euros. All sides, including the management of both clubs and the 27-year-old Spaniard himself, have already reached a full oral agreement. Exactly, Cucurella was the main transfer target of Jose Mourinho for the position of left fullback. The Portuguese specialist personally insisted on this signing, having evaluated the crazy work rate, tenacity in duels, and ability of the Spaniard to close the entire flank. Marc will officially leave Stamford Bridge and will join the Real Madrid immediately after the completion of the World Cup. Florentino Perez continues to fulfill absolutely all whims of Mourinho, assembling in Madrid a new 𝗕𝗥𝗘𝗚𝗚. The official signing of papers and announcement of the transfer, this is already purely a formality. Italian Milan finally came out on the finish line in searches of a new head coach, and this decision unexpectedly provoked a grandiose holiday in the office of Manchester United. To San Siro, the Portuguese vector returns. As the insider Fabrizio Romano reports, Amorim is officially ready to accept absolutely all conditions which were discussed during personal meetings with the management of the Rossoneri. The Portuguese specialist is incredibly motivated to get this work and now expects only a final green light from the owner of the club, 𝗕𝗥𝗘𝗔𝗞𝗡𝗚, and his advisor, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Searches of a coach for Milan were a real drama, where for a long time the main favorite was considered the former coach of Crystal Palace, Oliver Glasner. The bosses of the club even discussed with the Austrian a contract for 2 years with a salary of €3,500,000. However, Glasner lost positions because of his tough ultimatum to the management to immediately deal with the administrative structure. In parallel was considered also Matthias Gisele, but his current club, Saudi Al Ahly, demanded for the German a solid financial compensation. Why did Milan in the end choose, namely Amorim, among all candidates? The management of the Rossoneri was impressed by the tactical flexibility of the Portuguese, his ability to set a bright attacking football, and main successful experience of work with youth and development of expensive club assets. Unlike the too demanding Glasner, Ruben completely opened the door to compromises and agreed to work within the framework of the existing structure of management of Milan without putting forward ultimatums to the club. And here in the game enters a crazy financial benefit for Manchester United. As notes the authoritative edition, The Telegraph, this transition will save to the English giant millions of pounds sterling. The matter is that when United dismissed Amorim in January 2026 the club did not pay him the entire penalty with one check. The total sum of obligations before the Portuguese and his coaching staff constituted £15,900,000 sterling, and New was obliged monthly to pay them a regular salary to the end of the term of validity of the contract. However, according to the regulation of FIFA, as soon as Amorim puts a signature under the official agreement with Milan, Manchester United completely frees itself from these financial shackles. The Italians take the Portuguese together with all his coaching staff and hence completely take over their salary sheets. For the bosses of the Mancunians, this is a colossal relief because the written off from the balance sheet millions now can be with a clean conscience invested into summer transfers of Michael Carrick. It is expected that Milan will close the deal with Amorim already by the end of this week. In the endless transfer saga around the future of Marcus Rashford, a simply crazy plot turn happened. It seems the career of the 28-year-old English winger in Manchester United is not finished at all. Even more, the head coach of the Mancunians, Michael Carrick, unexpectedly opened the door for his sensational return to the squad of the Red Devils. Let's remind that Rashford found himself in a deep disgrace in times of Ruben Amorim because of what wandered across rents, first in Aston Villa and then in Barcelona. Despite that, Marcus helped the Catalans to win La Liga. A full contract in Spain does not shine to him. Barca officially refused to pay the 30 million euros of buyout prescribed in the agreement. Instead, the Blaugranas banged a crazy 70 million pounds sterling for Anthony Gordon from Newcastle and targeted at free Robert Lewandowski. In the result, Rashford found himself in a suspended state. Earlier, his representatives tried to push a transfer to Arsenal or Chelsea, but the London Giants so and did not give a concrete answer. And here now, when other variants fell away, Marcus prepares to arrive at preseason gatherings in Carrington. His current agreement with MU is calculated until June 2028 year, and the player himself did not appear in the shirt of the club since December 2024 year. The edition The Sun reports that Michael Carrick already is on a regular contact with the winger. The coach even spoke with leaders of the locker room of United and received from them a positive feedback regarding the potential return of the Rebel. Apropos of this situation, very aptly expressed himself the former midfielder of MU, Nicky Butt. He stated, "It is possible to speak as much as one likes that his story with United is finished. But the fact remains a fact: he has a contract and a huge salary. He is not going to simply so give up this money, and currently there is no single club ready to pay for him as much as Manchester wants." Butt added that knowing the character of Carrick, he will show to the player maximum respect, integrate him into the group on the preseason, and if Rashford shows a crazy hunger for football and starts to plow at trainings, he will have a real chance for redemption. In the end, if you pay a person such gigantic money and the transfer market is closed, it would be a complete foolishness to keep him on stands. Let's see if Rashford can use this unexpected gift of fate. Friends, thank you for watching, and if you like the episode, then do not spare a like and subscribe.